Yep, John, congratulations on the tournament. You made
Thanks.
it, provided all the skepticism from last week. What is kind of your initial reaction to receiving the number 5 seed and overall kind of how you and the Big Ten fell out on the in the top national 16 rankings?
Well, I think the fact that 6 of the Big Ten teams were seeded is pretty cool, and that doesn't surprise me. I think it's well deserved. It just shows you how tough our conference is, and Illinois is probably good enough to be in the tournament. It's so fired up about that, and I don't worry too much about our seeds. I mean, right now, what I'm worried about is we got to play a team that's going to play one day in front of us, and we're going to go 3 weeks without having played a match. So that's my biggest concern is how do I get our team ready to be able to play a match and play high level. So that's going to be a big challenge.
Brent Wagner.
Yeah, John, do you think watching the show was more nerve-wracking for some coaches this year, considering fewer teams and not as much non-conference or not as much data points?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there was a whole lot of surprises in there. I mean, it's there's the 30 automatic qualifiers, so there's no discussion on that. I think the teams that were on the bubble, probably Penn State was relieved because they had to have been worried if they were going to get in. But again, it just shows you I think that's just respect for the conference and Penn State program. And then, so anyway, it's kind of hard to follow because, or at least it was for me, that because you don't have your true 64 team bracket. And, I think the announcers were confused. I mean, they were saying they missed a few things and said a couple things that were incorrect. So I thought Salima does a nice job of putting it in perspective. So it's hard to follow. I got to look at that stuff and see, but all I know is we play a week from Thursday at 2:30 against Texas State or Utah Valley.
Joe Nugent.
Hey, John, I'm wondering if you can share how Nebraska is going to help the NCAA in Omaha in terms of weightlifting equipment, nutrition, those sort of things. What role are you guys playing?
Well, our strength coach, Brian Comita, was contacted by them to set up a weight room up there, which glad they're ahead of that because, you're going to be there. I mean, we're going to be there a couple days. We get there on the 12th. The 13th, we can't do anything because we test. Hopefully we can get a lift in. But so anyway, Nebraska's helping with that. And then both of our TerraFlex floors are going to be taken up there. I believe will be game floors up there on the, not on the main court, but on the 2 of the, 4 courts. And I also think they're taking Creighton's court and Nebraska Omaha court. So we're helping out with that because otherwise it would be a crappy floor on cement, and hopefully they're going to put some padding underneath these floors and use the TerraFlex floors, which will be a lot easier on the athletes because, you start throwing sport court over cement and these athletes, they're going to have a lot of issues.
Jacob Russo.
Yeah, Coach, you said your main concern is just getting your team ready to go. Kind of just what, I guess, in the early stages right now, are you looking at as far as what the mentality is to get your team ready to go? I know it's a little bit of ways away, but you said that's your biggest concern. So what are you looking at right now?
Well, we're looking at how we set up our week and leading up to going up there. We know we're going to be one day up there with doing nothing, and then we get a 90-minute practice of the second day, and then the third day we play with no practice. So that's going to be way out of what we're used to and all the teams are used to. Typically, you practice the day you play, so anyway, I got to figure out how we're going to manage the week and lead up to that and try to get them back up where they're playing at a high level. I mean, this week, I don't care who you are, but when you don't play, there's a letdown. You know, it's a mental and physical letdown. And so, you know, we recognize that, and we took it easy this week because, you know, but now we see the target out there and what we got, and now we kind of we can make a plan and go, and I can get them to buy into that, and that's where we got to do a good job.
Matt Foster.
John, the last time your team was the 5th overall seed, you took home the national title. Is that number 5 kind of becoming maybe a lucky number for this program?
You know, sometimes it's good not to be 1 or 2. Puts a lot of pressure on you, and if you notice over the years, a lot of times the 4, 5, 6 seeds in there do really well, get to the finals. So I don't know what it is about that, but again, we're just happy we're in. I don't know if I'm happy we have a seed because I almost would rather play the first day. So that's going to be a challenge. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for a lot of teams. You know, and it's not like you're in a normal gym and you're going to be in that gym. I don't even know if we get to practice on the courts we play on there. I think they're going to have set up some other practice courts. So it's going to be really challenging from a mental point of view. And then the other thing is, you know, we've only played 16 matches and we'll have gone 3 weeks without playing. And I know there's going to be other teams in that same boat. Then you look at Texas State, how the heck did they even play 38 matches? Are they in the NCAA? Because I thought we had limits on how much we could play unless they had a bunch of tournaments that they played in. So I think those are all the challenges, and you know, we got to work on the mental and the physical part, and then have them sharp, and that's what I've been thinking about.
Brent.
Yeah, the men's and women's basketball tournament usually isn't going on, you know, during your tournament. Is there any excitement thinking about your tournament as you kind of watch what's going on with basketball?
You know what? Yeah, it is the NCAA tournament, so it's still, to me, there's an empty, no fans, and you know, no atmosphere. That part is really missing. Anyway, I don't know what it's going to be like for volleyball. I mean, I know there's going to be very limited seating, but hopefully there will be some type of atmosphere in there.
Lincoln.
What will be your focus during the next week or so? Is it preparing for kind of just what the different settings that you'll encounter in the tournament, or is it just being able to stay sharp and keep your level of play up?
Well, that's the first part. Second part is, you know, you just can't take the week off, you know, because they're going to decondition. So we have to condition. We've got to get them in game mode. We've got to prepare them for how it's going to be different, so they're not surprised. I mean, they're mentally prepared for that, and just know that it's going to be way out of our routine and what we're used to, and then try to go in there rested. So it's a hard thing to do, to push, to rest, and you know, to find that balance. And so you know, that's what I call the art of coaching. There's an art to coaching. There's no textbook. There's no, you know, I can call Russ Rose or somebody else and say, how'd you guys do this? Because nobody's ever had to do this before. So this is you know, it'll be a challenging deal.
And then your fans won't be allowed in there to regional finals. And I know how much the players have talked about one play in front of fans this year. How much will that be a motivating factor, or will that be used to kind of get them to get the opportunity to play in front of fans at some point in the tournament?
Well, I think it's a big deal, even though it won't be 18,000. But I think the fact, when we've talked about this for a year and a half now, that there's always a great opportunity when the tournament's in Omaha for us. And you know, if we can get to where they allow fans in, I don't know what round it is or when they do it, but you know, it certainly could be a really big boost for us, because we were excited to play Penn State in front of fans. I mean, that was like a huge deal for our players. Like, we're finally going to get to have people in there. So at least it would drown out me, you know, saying stuff to them. So that's the biggest part of it.
Lee Feinswag.
Lee, you're on mute.
Lee, you're
I
on
didn't
mute.
think I was. Am I better now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. It came up with some command. Hi, John.
How you doing?
I'm tired. When you watched the show unfold and you saw the bracket being put up there and as it was going on, what jumped out at you specifically that you said, "Well, this is really good," or "this is really bad," or things that made you go, "I don't get it"?
There's nothing that really shocked me. It's kind of either what I was expecting but here's the thing, Lee. I don't really know a lot about any other teams or any other conferences because we haven't played them. We haven't followed them. We've just been, focused on the Big Ten. So I know what the Big Ten is. I don't, like I said, I don't know. Again, it's got to be really, really hard to figure out where everybody goes in this. But I think they got the top 16 seeds pretty good. So that's kind of what I was looking at. And then from there, I don't know how they fit it in. But again, I don't know anything about the teams we're in our bracket. I just know, more about Texas and Baylor. But some of these other teams just don't know a lot about. So to me, it's, fit them in there somewhere and let's go play.
Well, I've watched Texas State play this year. They're good, but they're not as good as Nebraska.
You haven't seen us on our bad days.
Thank you.
We got time for a couple more. Jacob Padilla.
Yeah, you mentioned last time that you missed out on chance to really learn about your team with some of the matches you guys lost out on. With only 16 matches under your belt, and obviously you had the injury late in the year that kind of shook up your rotation, how much do you know about your team? Like, what's the feeling going into this postseason that's so much different than any other year?
Well, we've been somewhat battle tested, but it's just been the whole year's been so start-stop. It's hard to get momentum. It's hard to, sometimes in a season you get going, you win a few big matches, and then, you just got this momentum. This has been like, we finally started getting that toward the end here. We were playing some good volleyball and then then boom, you shut down for 3 weeks. So like I told you, there's a natural letdown there, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's just, I mean, my coaches are playing golf every day. I mean, we just, what do you do? I mean, you can't watch any, what do you go watch more video or something? So, we got to ramp it back up. And that's, to me, the challenge. So I felt like we were getting to a really good spot where we were understanding how hard we had to play and the level we had to play at and the sense of urgency. And then that, it got shut down against Wisconsin, and then it got shut down against Penn State. But those are the matches that bring out the best in you. And we needed those. But we had a couple other, really good battles with Minnesota and Ohio State and Illinois. So, but seems like it's been a long time ago.
Okay, we'll do two more. One from Matt Foster and one from Brent Wagner. Matt?
John, heading into this bubble, obviously something none of you ever experienced. Are you worried at all about that kind of messing with your team's routine and just things they're used to going into a match?
Absolutely. I'm really, really concerned about it. We're spending a lot of time talking about, now that we know, we'll be able to, we have a plan for this week, but now we'll be able to go into next week and refine this week, and then just start talking to them about, like, they're already worried about tickets right now, because they get 2 tickets. So, here we go. I mean, it's just going to be so different than what they're used to. And so we've got to really do a great job of getting them to understand this is not our typical NCAA tournament. It's not typical Big Ten matches. This is something completely different. And, we've got to find a way to make it fun and adventurous. And, and we do that when we go overseas on those trips. We talk to them about, it's going to be way out of what we're normally used to. So we'll probably reflect back on some of that. But again, it's a mental preparation that we just can't take that for granted.
Yeah, with the format this year with the Big Ten, where you played back to back, what are your overall thoughts about that format this season, how it went, and what you thought of it?
Yeah, in some ways, Brent, I like it. I like it for you got to be really good both nights, and there's definitely a mental, psychological things that happen whether you win the first night and lose the first night. You saw all the split weekends. I mean, just like last night, Northwestern and Maryland both went 5 games and they both split. One won one, one won the other. You just saw a lot of that going on. So I like it from that regard. I like it that when you're on the road, you don't have to play a match, travel somewhere, get in late, and figure out new gym, new team the next day. What I don't like about it is, and what some coaches are worried about, is if we do that full time in the Big Ten, it could potentially send a message, for the Big Ten and for schools to maybe not make the biggest commitment to volleyball. It's kind of a less expensive way to run the conference, and you're not going to play everybody. And now we play everybody in a normal season. We play everybody, plus you play almost everybody again. And I think we're going to lose some of the great matchups. So let's say we would play a Penn State, first weekend, and then we play them again week 8, as opposed to you play them twice and then it's gone, that whole time. So I think it takes away some of the potential great matchups as a season's building. It'll take away that. And you won't play everybody as much is what I'm trying to say is, it's going to limit on who everybody plays. Does that make sense? It'll limit even more than what we had this year. We had 11 weeks this year. We'd only have 10 weeks playing 2 teams.
Do you think that will be a part of the league going forward, at least for those double plays?
I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. Be curious, where it goes, but it's what hockey does, and baseball does that as well, and softball. For volleyball, though, I just don't know if it's the right answer. I told you what I like, but there's some negatives to it, and it could hurt the sport, hurt our development, hurt TV ratings. Because like I said, you're gonna miss some great matchups, beginning and the end, potentially some great stories that could be happening as the season unfolds. And so, I think for also, you look at Illinois. Okay, Illinois is an NCAA tournament team, and they just beat Purdue yesterday. For example, they went 5 with a lot of teams. So, but they started off playing really tough. So, they get 6 losses, 8 losses right in the first beginning. And then, it's like they're in a hole for the rest of the time. So I think it could really ding you that way too.
Did you like the kind of the chess match, the making the adjustments from one night to the second night? Do you like that part of it?
Love that part of it.
Why?
Because that's fun to coach, it is like a chess match, and what adjustments can we make? What are they going to make? You're just trying to, it is kind of a chess game. So yeah, that is actually a fun part of it. But we're doing that. If we played 2 different teams on a weekend, we'd be doing the same thing, because sometimes teams the first night, depending on how it goes, they might switch their lineup, change things the second night. So, so that's still there too, but it is more, I think it's more dramatic in a way when you play the same team back to back, because then you got the psychological part of it too.